What is important? Is it the illumination or is it the bulb? With what do we identify ourselves, finally? With the bulb or with the consciousness? When you have identified yourself with the consciousness, the body drops off. Nothing can happen to you. You are ready to be grateful to the body and to love it for having brought you to this realization, but it is only the vehicle.
When you try to use your bodily senses as the main way to discover deep relational truths, thinking you will be able to hear, smell, see, taste, or feel deep things, you will find yourself disappointed and even led astray by your efforts. It is better to learn how life has been designed by ultimate reality. Humans live more by trusting the deep presence than by sight, taste, feel, smell, or sound.
I often think and act and speak from the posture that I am my body. Yet, underlying this posture is sometimes the hint of an intruding question: am I my body?
Anyway, what is the intimate approach to truth? It's first of all bodily contact. We're, as a group, much more free about hugging one another and feeling body against body in a more unsexual, unsensual fashion than some groups of people are. Some people are very reluctant to be hugged. I'm talking about the bodily approach to truth is just noticing body language, noticing that people are speaking with the way they move, with the way they dance, with the way they walk, that something is going on there that's mysterious and deep consciousness being expressed in the walk, in the emotional character of the language, in the sense that they're in their feelings or not in their feelings, and so forth.
There's just so much wisdom in our body, just like in our store consciousness. It hasn't been appreciated in most of the ways most people have been trained to live in the world, is not in touch with the incredible wisdom of the body. And that includes when you say things like, I knew it in my gut, I had a gut feeling. Our gut has neurons. It is real. Our body is not just our brain that knows things. Our heart has neurons. All these phrases that we've come up with in our different languages, they are really accurate. When we practice a spiritual path, the only vehicle we have to practice that is a body. There has been in Christianity and Buddhism both, and other traditions as well, a kind of a veering into this dualism between body and mind, and a negation of the body as being not spiritual, which is connected to patriarchy, the feminine body being earth-bound, and this energy of transcendence, of getting away from all the material realities of babies and poop and blood and feeding and cleaning, and the sense that spirituality is about purity, and you won't have the full experience if you're trying to get out of your body, because there is so much that only through being in the body that can be really experienced and known. What I'm interested in more now, but what I'm seeing in many places, is a much bigger respect and turning towards how do we really be in our bodies, how do we listen to our bodies, let our bodies lead the way, right? So when I'm working with someone, for example, in mentoring or in a spiritual kind of directing fashion, a lot of times we cannot move through something through words alone. If they're struggling with something, something's arising, It's when we start to go into the body where I'll say, well, where do you feel this in your body? Or what is this showing up like? When we start to be with emotions in the body, then something can shift. And so then we bring, if it's tightness in the throat, or this tension behind the eyes, or this heaviness, this darkness in the belly, then, okay, bringing awareness to that, bringing space, letting that have space, letting that be there. What does that need? What would that like from you? So then we can be in dialogue with it. We can begin to care for it. And then always, whatever it needs, it's very understandable. There's the ability to relate to that with compassion, with this shift, rather than this pain that's doing something to me that I want to get rid of. It becomes, there's this part of me that needs attention, that I can actually attend to. When we go into our bodies, we bring online the part of ourself that has access to much more facility. If we're not feeling what's happening in our body and we're sort of from here up, we actually don't have access to the part of ourself that can care for ourselves. We have to go below the neck to access that. That lives in these other centers. I've been studying more with Raja Selvam. He did somatic experiencing, but then created a slightly different path of integral somatic psychology, where it's all about connecting with emotions in the body. And also been studying with Resmaa Menakem, who does somatic abolitionism, looking at all the ways trauma lives in the body, and how do you really notice not just the physical body, but all the things that the body picks up on, your vibes, the vibes you get from a situation, the memories, the impulses, the moods, the sensing. Maybe it's tingling in your hands, or maybe it's your hips wanting to move, or maybe it's you're wanting to hum and express. All these different folks that I'm finding are bringing an element I didn't have much awareness of, that really allow a lot more circulation to happen. I was talking earlier about circulation between mind and store. You have to be in the body for those things to circulate, right? It's like if you are carrying a 50-pound bag with one hand, it's really hard. But if you hold it in both hands, you carry it with your whole body, you can do that. And so what's so wise about bringing this attention into the body is you get to bring more of yourself to the task. If you can spread what you're feeling around, which is counterintuitive, because you don't, if it's painful, if it hurts, if it's unfamiliar, scary, you don't want it to get bigger. But actually, if it gets bigger, if more parts of your body can hold it, it becomes more diffuse. It becomes easier to hold. So giving it space, allowing things to circulate, allowing things to express. We have a tendency to shut ourselves down a lot of the times, to not express certain things. There's only certain things you can do in daily life that are acceptable. You can't just start humming and swaying, in the middle of a dinner with people, right? So there are all these ways that our body wants to move and knows how to move or express itself, to allow things to release. This is interplay, this exformation, these practices that the body has in all cultures that are so natural, but that certain cultures have really shut down. Being embodied helps us to even feel that we want that. There's so many things we don't even know our body wants until we take the time to feel and notice that we have a body. This has been helpful for me when people have offered this to me as a practice, and I've offered it to others. They found it helpful too. If they're stuck between a couple of different choices and they don't know what to do, and they're cogitating about, well, if I do this, what about this? What if I go this way? when you picture yourself doing this option, how does it feel in your body? And when you picture yourself doing that, how does it feel in your body? And usually people know right away. When they just get into their body, they know what one thing feels like and what another thing feels like. And one usually feels quite different physically, bodily. So that's body wisdom. That's the power of the body to say, hey, this is what I know to be true. The mind, we can go in many circles and pros and cons and what about if this happens? But the body's just like, nope. But that's a skill also to be developed, is to tap into that power.
The self we have now. If we're attached to that, it might be hard to grow beyond it. Like a box, little box in a bigger box in a hole. You have to let yourself be put into a bigger thing, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that we're just by living and just by growing in consciousness, we're growing in God's self, in God's presence, in God consciousness. So the ultimate consciousness is this total oneness, capital O, in which God is all in all. So that so much for the self that becomes God's self, or one with God's self, or just plain one, capital O. And so everyone agrees that that's totally inconceivable in the sense of having a concept that can contain that. So all these words are just pointing in that direction, that even the highest experience in this life can't do justice to, because we're still in a body, as long as God wants to keep it there, that has some innate limitations.
Though we begin our lives immersed in unitive, kinesthetic knowing, we learn quickly to see distinctions and divisions in the world. As a toddler, I learned I am not my mother. My mother is not me.
I keep mommy.
I'm Augustine's mommy.
Yeah.
The developing ego sees by differentiation and negation who we are not. While such an ego structure is a natural, necessary part of growing up, it always gets in the way of the soul's holistic, non-dual consciousness. My identity, intelligence, moral sense, wealth, and social class, is unfortunately gained in contrast, comparison, and competition to the person next to me. My still center, my true self, does not need to oppose, differentiate, or compare itself. It just is, and is content. Repressing feelings and sensations relegate them to our unconscious shadow self. They don't go away. They come out in unexpected and often painful ways. We need to understand kinesthetic, bodily knowing. We must learn to recognize our physical responses, be they fear, arousal, pleasure, or pain, because they reveal additional and important information. It may take a few minutes of intentional focus to become aware of tension in our shoulders, churning in our gut, a pounding heart, or goosebumps.
Let me draw another picture, which is a more adequate picture, holding how these things might be understood better by us in our strange time. Conscious is like a center inside us. I don't know where inside us, whether it's inside our toes or our heart or our head, but somehow inside us there's a centering, because we could look in there and see consciousness centered. We see ourselves centered, looking at our center. And then this consciousness at the center is surrounded by interior functionings, the mind. Now, perhaps the mind is the same thing as the brain, but the mind is seeing the brain from the inside. You see that? The brain is seeing the mind from the outside. And it's a very different experience to look at somebody's brain and see all the electrical and chemical stuff going on, even though you know that's their mind, if they're looking at it from the inside. And it's kind of fun to have somebody look at things and have somebody else look at them from outside here. But anyway, the experience of a brain is exterior to the inner person, and the experience of the mind is the interior experience of consciousness of your brain. Also, the body as a whole out here is an experience of the world, but interiorly, what we're experiencing is feelings. I'm going to put the word toe here because there are feelings in our toe. Your whole body has feelings. When you move your muscles, you can feel those movements of muscle from the inside. Some of the chemical inside activity you can feel with your consciousness. Like you have a indigestion or something, you can certainly feel that. You can feel pain, you can feel pleasure, and so forth. There are all kinds of feelings. Emotional feelings are very complex inside feelings that have to do with how you're relating as a consciousness to the whole of your experience. And then there are very subtle kind of feelings like light and vibrations of sound and taste and smell and so forth. So interiorly you have feelings that are somehow related to your body, and you have thoughts that are somehow related to your brain and total nervous system. And then there's an outside again of your particular body and its interior going-onnesses. There is the world around you. And then there's this something else going on, and that is the fact that consciousness is centered in you, but it's also like a I don't know what, a pattern of wave that surrounds you. There's a subtle vibration of things going on around your body, in this world around you.
Isn't this interesting? Upon this journey into the deep place, it seems awareness can be advanced by denying the body. It seems awareness can be advanced by affirming the body. I am coming to personally experience the truth that for a very brief moment, the duration of a lifetime, this physical body, my physical body, is the container of the universe. I am delivered to wonder. This universe feels alive. Let's not stop here. The classroom of my body and its entanglement with consciousness continues to awaken